Hi everyone, it's Les. Today I'm going to do a tutorial on spirals. Now as you can see, I have my dishes out with, well maybe you can't see, there. I have my dishes out with dominoes in them. These are just dishes that I had that my mom gave me a long time ago for when I had picnics or whatever. And I had 100 in each and I took out 25 of each because I'm going to do 150 stone or domino spiral. But I put them in dishes because if I'm doing a project, can you imagine just 600 dominoes just in a pile laying on the table or wherever? I like to kind of keep it kind of neat. But whenever you do a project, it's important to keep count, especially, I mean, if you're just doing it for yourself, you just whatever. If you're going for like the leaderboard at Bulk Dominoes, you know, it's important to keep count. And dominoes are also called stones, so every once in a while you'll hear me refer to it as stones. So what I'm going to do is, since I have 25 of each, we're going to do 150. We're going to get into it. I usually start off with just 5 dominoes, usually. And I have my color scheme. You can use any color scheme you want. You can make it all one solid color. You can make it 6 colors like I am: rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. You can make it 3 colors. It's all up to you. It's your imagination. It's what you want to express. You're expressing yourself. So I just like the rainbow colors, but you don't have to use it, of course. So I'm going to start off with red. And some people, even my 17-year-old granddaughter, when they start a spiral, and my grandbabies, y'all know Nina, Zaya, Zach, Nina and Zaya start outside and try to work in. And even though they sit there and watch me, they still go outside and try to work themselves in. With a spiral, you want to start inside and work yourself out. It's much easier, it's much cleaner, it's nicer looking, and that's just the way it's done. So let's get started. What I do is I take one domino, let's start out with red, and I just put it on the table like that. I just stand it up. Now when you do spirals, and it's the same principle when you're doing a straight line and you want to curve it, the spirals, you want to get the corners closer together, because unlike a straight line, you know, you do a run. Notice these dominoes are hitting face on. They're just hitting smack, face on. But when you do a curve, it's the corners that's going to hit first. It's not going to be a straight on hit. It's constantly going to be a corner. So, and I'll show you what it looks like, what I'm talking about here in a minute. So what you do is you start out about there and kind of get an idea of, you know, how, you're wanting to do 150. Okay, what's 150 look like? You know, because you don't want to go off the edge. So what you do is, this is what I do. And sometimes I'm going to do things a little unconventional, or it's going to take me a little longer to do stuff, because those that watch my channel know that I have neuropathy and arthritis in my hands, and I'm in pain a lot. Even when I do a live stream, my hands will hurt. And so you want to space it, and I never fully place it until I'm ready to get it in its spot because of my hands. But you want to kind of get a look, and you start to see patterns, and you can kind of guide yourself on, okay, I see a pattern, like I see a pattern already about where to space my dominoes, about by how it's looking, how big the inner space is going to be. Do I want to make it wider? Do I want to make it tighter? It's up to you. Everything is on you. And usually when I'm doing a spiral, I am actually on top of it. I mean, actually standing up, leaning over, and I'm on top of it. And my chubby little hands like to hit the dominoes, but I don't slide it into place until I'm ready. As you can see, sometimes I'll have a hard time controlling the domino, and it'll take me longer sometimes, but that doesn't mean I can't do it. It just might take a little longer sometimes. And we're going to cut that off right now. Okay. That's why I had the phone by me. I tried to record earlier and there was 2 phone calls right in a row and it just would not stop. So right now I see a small pattern. I see an inner circle and it looks a little lopsided to me, but we'll fix that. We will fix that. And like I said, I'm usually on top so I can see it. Now you're saying, okay, Les, if you do a circle, you're going to run right into this domino. Not really. I'm going to show you how to fix that. I'm going to show you how to fix that. And what you want to do is I usually like my inner circle a little wider. So what I'm going to do is I might pull this out just a little bit. And it's easier, like I said, if I'm standing up over it. And I don't like the way those are looking anyway. So we're going to do this. And that's all you got to do. If you don't like the way it looks, you can just pull it out. I always pull it out from the top rather than trying to grab it from the sides. Because you're going to have issues. You're going to end up toppling it over. So right about here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this starting domino and I'm going to put it a little more towards the inside. Same with that one. I'm going to move these. I'm going to push this in a little bit. What you want to do is just make sure that these dominoes will hit, which it will. Okay. So and like I said, you can use any color you want, any kind of color scheme. It's all up to you. It's an expression of yourself. And when you're doing this, like I said, you'll start to see patterns every time you do this. Okay. Usually I do it outside of the spiral, but I knew I wasn't going to do anything. I wasn't going to. Now when I get further and further with the spiral, I always set them up outside the spiral, get them in position, and then I'll slide it in. Because I know me, and don't let anyone fool you. Even professionals, professional domino builders, they will knock their own stuff down. It happens. If you knock it down, just clean it up and start over. When I did my 1200 domino or stone spiral, let's see a little issue there. I must knock that thing down. I can't tell you how many times I knocked it down, or someone knocked it down for me. I knocked it down a ton. That was not my first attempt. I don't think I've ever There's only been a couple things that I've done that I didn't screw it up on the first try, but that doesn't mean the next time I go to do it that I won't. Everybody will knock their stuff over. It's not a perfect setup every time. Not at all. And once you start getting into a pattern, and once you start getting into how far you want the spacing on your dominoes and things like that, and then it'll fly by after that. It'll fly by. To me, this is the hardest part. This is the most important part. But if you don't get it a perfect circle, you can fix it within a few rounds. I know I've done it a couple times and the spiral ended up looking really good. Like the 750 spiral I did. I mean the 1200 spiral I did. But after a while, there's only two parts. When I personally do a spiral, there's only two parts that look really messed up. The very beginning, and then you can tell when I am done with it towards the end. Because it'll just start looking lockjawed. And like I said, usually I'm on top of it. It's easier if you can look over top rather than on the side. I usually don't go from the side until it gets to a certain size, and then I'll start switch seat to seat. I actually need to pull this table out. I actually have seats on that side. It's a bench. So all I gotta do is pull out. The bench is right there. All I gotta do is sit. So alrighty, we're almost at 50 dominoes. Almost. And like I said, right now I see a pattern. I see where mistakes are. I know where I want my lines. In between, like with each line going around, you want a far enough distance to where it won't mess with the dominoes inside, but you also want it close enough to where the spiral, like if you have a 200 spiral, it's not going to be out here. You want a nice tight looking spiral, and it just takes practice. And I honestly, the way my hands are, sometimes I can hit it and sometimes I can't. So it just depends on what my hands are up to for the day. Some days are better than others. And I say this not because, you know, not because of any other reason, except for the fact that I want people to know that even if you do have hand problems, even if you are disabled and things like that, like I am, you can still do this. You have an imagination. You have colors that you like. This is a good way to keep your mind occupied, because you're thinking of 15,000 things all at once while doing a spiral, or while doing anything with dominoes actually. Like my mind honestly is already thinking of halfway through it, which I'm almost halfway through it. And I'll be taking the camera and show you close up of how this spiral will kind of look like. It didn't look like it's going to be a perfect round circle. And I like to do this real time when I do videos, so people can see. If I make a mistake, you're going to see it. you know. Sometimes the bigger the structure, the more mistakes. They get, if you don't have a very good base or whatever, they get fragile. And it really does play on you. It does get kind of, I don't want to say scary, but it gets nerve-wracking. And usually after a certain point, when I go to set it up, I set it up outside of the spiral line. That way if it falls, it won't send my spiral tumbling. And it's just safer for me, which I think most do. I know when you use pro-size dominoes, you can actually, you know, put your hands on it and set it into place. But these are mini dominoes, and the principles that I use for mini dominoes is exactly the same for the pro-size dominoes, is exactly the same for mini micros, planks, kinetic, block kicks. It's this principle the same for anything. You can use books as dominoes. You can use cereal boxes. I've seen people use cement slabs as dominoes. That's on YouTube. That was fascinating as heck. It's your imagination. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to be 4 to have an imagination. I'm a grandmother. I'm 51. And I have an imagination. And you can incorporate the dominoes, no matter what size, you can incorporate it with other things that uses your imagination, like Legos. Or I know my grandson wants to incorporate it not only with Legos, but with his Hot Wheels. There's so many things. There's, you can get sets of dominoes, like from Walmart, called Domino Rally, which there's a couple of accessories that I don't want it for the dominoes, I want it for the accessories actually. But that's an awfully expensive thing just for accessories. But me personally, I get my dominoes from Bulk Dominoes. I usually have the cups setting up or something that says Bulk Domino. I just don't, they're just sitting over there. I don't know why I didn't grab them. Because they're here in Ohio. They're actually near me. If you want to know the truth, I can just drive over there if they had a pickup service. They're here in Ohio. They're U.S. made, and not to mention they're excellent quality. Excellent quality. And I've had people ask me, is mini dominoes if you know, I use anything else? No, I play with mostly. Matter of fact, I have nothing but mini dominoes. Honestly, I don't have much space for so-called toys, and it keeps my mind occupied when I'm up late at night, or if I just want to do something. I've told people I'll start to do something and then I'll just leave. When I did my 3D pyramid, I left. I went to bed. I don't literally just sit here, and I usually don't have time just to sit here and do dominoes all day. So, and if I know my grandkids are coming over, I know not to start a project. But if I'm just playing around with them, we'll do stuff together. Especially well, now he's 5. He's now 5. Zaya, he gamble boy. But we'll just sit there and he talks, and he loves the kinetic planks, which I've got a few, just a couple, I think like 18 of them, but he loves playing with them. He likes to make things with it, and I didn't have to tell him how. It's amazing how kids' minds work, because they don't have to be told nothing. They just automatically know what to do. They sit there and see something and they go right after it. I didn't have to tell him about the connectors with it or not. He just went for it. And he was making planes and swords and stuff, and he's wanting to use that with his mini dominoes, trying to knock them over and stuff. It's fascinating to see a kid go like this. And it's also, to me, it's fascinating to see some adults, because adults, we tend to not open up as much. We tend to close off. Oh, that's for kids. I get told that all the time. You're just a kid. That's a kid. That's a kid thing. No, it isn't. Since when? You know, I'm not that closed off. Whoops. See, I looked out there. I looked out there. Of course, it doesn't help that I have a tabletop that slicks. But I guess that helps you to be more controlled, so. Dominoes and stuff like that is just as much for adult as it is kids. Since when did imagination have to stop at a certain age? That's what I want to know. Since when? Since when did learning about science and technology and engineering and architecture and math, since when was that just a kid thing? What, you become an adult and you forget everything? Les, that's so boring. Well, when you're disabled and you can't do all the things you used to. But I personally don't think it's boring. I like to create and I like to build things. So, and that's nothing new for me. What's new is that I found out that there was this wonderful world of dominoes with different colors and sizes and everything else. I didn't know until, but that doesn't mean I wasn't playing with my dominoes before and trying to build things. So I told my mom what I was doing, and she's like, oh, she was fascinated. She's like, she didn't know. And she's like, can I have my dominoes back, the set that I have? I'm like, no. I still like to play the game. So does she. So I'm almost done, believe it or not. And like I said, after a certain time, like I know this is out a little bit. You know, I know this is not super even up here. And like I said, I'm usually on top looking down at it. But it still doesn't look that bad considering. But yeah, you do. You use your math really quick. That's the first thing you notice about doing dominoes, is that you're using math real quick. And then you're learning about architecture, which is used in the basic world when you're trying to get something built. Whether it be a deck or a house or anything, you have to have a good foundation. And then you learn how things are together. And it's all geometry. At first, it's multiplication, addition, this and that. And then it becomes, on some structures, it becomes nothing but geometry. And geometrical shapes. there's a ton of right angles being used with dominoes. And engineering, you know, when you use other things to implement with dominoes, you got engineering feats, you know, technology. Those that watch my channel know me. I'm not a technology buff. I really am not. They know that. When it comes to technology, I suck. I really do. I stink. I don't like it. But those that are really into dominoes and stuff, if they have the brain power for the technology part of it, more power to them. But even so, with the technology, I still use spinners and bridges and things like that, which is part of the engineering and technology and building and math and the science of it all. And you don't even realize you're using them at first until you really get to thinking about it. Now with me doing these purple, now this is usually how close I like to have them. Usually. But, and we're almost done. As soon as I put the purple in place, and yes, like I said, mini dominoes is all I have. That's all I play with. And the reason being is that because they are small and they're great for a tabletop. I can't really get on the floor to do a lot of things. So tabletop stuff is fantastic for me. Whoop. Whoop. See, I don't like the way those two look. So I just yank them out of there like that and push them into place like that. And yes, do not get upset when you knock your structures or buildings or whatever you're doing, whether it be a rally, which is dominoes being used to just make it's used to implement like bridges and spinners and knocking things down. Half the fun of dominoes is knocking the stuff down. I like the way it sounds, I like the way it looks. To me, there's something soothing about it, but that's just me. It's not for everybody, I understand. But to me, it's not just a kid thing. It really is not. And it's something fun to do. And when you do dominoes, like if you go to Bulk Dominoes, they have a leadership board and stuff, which, you know, I put videos up to get on there, but if it's, but it's not one of those things where I feel that I have to do. I just do what I want and put it on there, and that's it. You know, if it gives you something to work for, which, you know, kids like to work for stuff like that. But it's fun. Okay. Now, let me take this off of here. I'm going to edit this part out. Okay. Whoops. Here we go. Now, as you can see, what it looks like overhead, it is a little odd, and I know that, I know that. You can't see the purple too well. I'm gonna have to get better lighting out here. But as you can see what I did in the middle, so that way all the dominoes will fall, and so that way it wouldn't run into each other, but yet look like a circle. I've done better. And the spacing, now in between the lines, I like them a little closer. But like I said, I wasn't standing over it or nothing. And I do like, with the purple right here, you can't see very well. I like the spacing on that. That is usually how I like it. But you don't want it so close to where they don't fall down. So what we're going to do is like anything else. When you build it, as the saying is about Domino, build them high, let them fly. So let's get this toppled. This is 150 domino or stone spiral, and 3, 2, 1. Rock on. And to me, the cleanup's easy. So that's how you do a spiral. So I hope we all learned something. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk later. Until the next one. Hope everybody has a great day and a great night. Take care.